so we don't have background noise. We're at about a quarter of the people that registered. That's not too bad. Okay, I'm going to get started and hopefully I don't get too far before more people jump in. Like I said, several of you guys know me. Others probably have no idea who I am. Some of y'all have worked with Tammy and I in the past. Tammy Jensen, Tammy, say hi real quick unless you're muted.
Hello,
So you
I'm
pop up.
Tammy.
Tammy Jensen, we're partners. We're part of Total Investment Solutions. We own that company. And we've been doing a lot of private money lending and private money connecting in the past. And so we're still working on those systems and still working in that business and helping borrowers and lenders connect. But we're in Owners Club, and what we're focusing on in Owners Club right now is active income. So active income, we're talking about how do we make sure that we time block enough to make sure that we're concentrating on the things that we need to concentrate on in our business. So we started that we've started out in Owners Club talking about social media. I suck at it. I will keep working on that. But he's now focused on active income and how to make active income, which does include social media. So he started to show us how to schedule things, how to schedule our time, and how to be as efficient as possible. I don't know, did I say Pace Morby? Pace Morby, we all know who he is, but maybe if this is on YouTube or something, sometime you might not know who he is. So Pace had spent, I think it was 2 hours with us on one morning and another 3 hours on another morning. The 2 hours was going over his A to Z. This is what the elements that I have, and he literally has 26 items that he does when he's scheduling. And then this is how the mechanics of exactly how I did it. And when he showed me the mechanics of it, I was just like, well, that's so simple, but why didn't I ever think of it? It's a little like it makes me scratch my head. So I was like, I need to share this with people because it's crazy. So we've got the 27 steps. I'm not going to go through them all. I'm just gonna kind of go through an exercise and show you guys how I have implemented them and keep this really high level. But also at the same time, you all are welcome to network, just like in Pace Morby stuff, network in the side chat and stuff and talk to each other, ask questions. Tammy's gonna, if you ask questions in the side chat, Tammy's gonna help keep track of them, and then we can go back and answer them. And Tammy, if you see something that's like, hey, it'd be good to answer this like now, let me know. You know me good enough to know like if it makes sense. And then what I also want to do is I want this to be kind of an ultimate networking event for people. So I put this form and for everybody to fill out. And basically what I'm going to provide at the end of this is this form is basically, what do you need? What do you have? What do you need? Whatever we do in networking, right? And there's how many of us? 30 of us on here right now. So we all fill out this form. And then I will share the spreadsheet that gets created out of the form so that you all can have each other's contact information um, and see if there's anything you can help each other with. So that's what I'm providing. You can click that you do not want to be listed. You can fill it out still so that we have your information, because we're also going to give you guys the ability to be on our list to continue to do these about once a month. But so we do want you to be on the list if you want, but you can check that you don't want your information shared with everybody else and we can remove it. So I'm going to drop that form, share that form into the chat, and we'll share this a couple different times. Tammy, once I drop it in, you can share it a couple times throughout. So there's
Sounds
that
good.
form. All right, so getting started, I'm going to share my screen. And bear with me, I haven't done a big Zoom like this with what we have 40, almost 40 people on here now. So can everybody see this mess of a calendar that I have here? Okay, so the first the first thing that you need to do is when you're time blocking is determine your non-negotiables. Um, we'll look at my calendar here. Okay, I got church. Church is a non-negotiable most of the time. I've got my W-2. I work in the mornings. And then my family time. My daughter and I agreed that we're going to block out 3:45 to 5 every Tuesday and Thursday, and we're going to go work out. And then I have put on my calendar, I'm still working on this, but these are the nights that I'm going to cook dinner. So looking at what you do is you'll bring up your family calendar. And unfortunately, my family calendar is on Apple instead of in the Google Drive, but I can bring up my family calendar and I can look for things that my family and mine's, we don't use our calendar as much as Pace does, but Laura like puts everything on the calendar so Pace can go, okay, today I'm going to do this, and this, and he overlaps. And I'll show you about the overlapping. I can't do that, but I would take a look at my calendar and I would look for the things that are happening in with my family and make sure that I'm attending those things if they've put them on the calendar. There's my Christmas party for my W-2, for example, those kinds of things. So that's the first thing. And I can't really show you that, but I'll show it to you like how with these, if you're using a different calendar, the mechanism to get it onto your calendar would just be a little bit different. Like you can, for instance, on the cloud here, you can just add an invite and invite yourself, right? So if I want this to pop on my calendar, then I can just invite myself and you can pick only this event, all future events, for example, and I'll show you how it pops. Then it will pop up or should pop up on my calendar. Which day was that? I probably have to accept it. So there it is. So that popped up on my calendar, right? And I can go in and then say yes and accept it. Of course, I'm not going to go to work with my daughter, but that was just an example. So the idea being that you want to find out what your inputs are. What are your calendars that you want to input to build your main calendar? So you start with your non-negotiables, your family's calendar, right? Then you go, okay, I have a W-2, I have a lending business, maybe these are mine, cleaning company, a buy and hold company. I want to make sure I attend Gator Sub2 Owners Club Zooms. So I have all those calendars over here in my family calendar, of course, is in iCloud. And the idea is that you're just going to populate your own calendar with those different events. So for instance, um, I want to start with my non-negotiables, and I'm going to actually make a new calendar just so you guys can see this. Um, we'll call it an appointment schedule. I'm just going to call it test because I'm going to delete it. Let's see. Let's just see if I can create it this way. All right. So the test calendar. Oh,
And I wonder if you just create it out of a different Gmail account, it might just be a clean slate, or are they all overlapping already?
No, I'll just do it this way. I was thinking I could create a calendar right in front of your guys' eyes, but I'm not seeing that. So that's okay. I just messed this all up, but that's all right. That's part of this. learning experience. So what I do is I have my main calendar. I've chosen an email address for me that's like neutral. It's not a specific email address for and I always want to look to where so I can see people's faces. It's not a specific email address for one company or another. It's for all of it, it's like a more neutral one. So that's what I've done. I've chosen kind of a catch-all email address to share all my calendars to. And then that way I can create the main calendar on there. And then I can see that in my phone. And I can track it from there. So what I do is, like I said, non-negotiables, like I kind of covered those already. What's on my family's calendar? And I color coded them because I want to know what I want these to stand out because these are important. Everything that I'm doing, anything I'm doing with my family, you can tell I don't have enough on here. And some of that is just because I haven't really sat and talked to my family because this is all new about like, hey, what else do we want to just put on the calendar, make sure that we're taking time out of our days for each other and all of that. So that's a work in progress and it should be the top priority. And I think it isn't in a lot of our lives. So we have to work on that. But so those are that's a non-negotiable is my family time, my church time, my W-2 is non-negotiable. And then what we do is I go, okay, the next thing I want to do is look at my let's see, I'm looking at my notes here. I want to look at, income producing. What times, what businesses do I have? Um, what businesses do I have? What efforts do I have that I'm going to actually be putting towards um, income producing activities? So Tammy and I just started a cleaning business. So I've tried to put, and sometimes I have to sacrifice, and we'll talk about sacrifice, but I try to put an hour a day on the cleaning business. So I block that out. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do an hour a day on the cleaning business. We've got the PML borrower and lender. We have a VA and we're training her. So where is that at? This I had to sacrifice it a bunch this year or this week. It looks like, nope, that's not the right one. But so right here. So every day from 1 to 2, I've blocked out time for the VA. Looks like I had to sacrifice it 3 times this week, that time. So that's something that I put it on and then I go, okay, does it make sense to do that activity every single day, or where can I turn it on and off? The other things would be, having interactive calls with borrowers, lenders. So I actually just leave these green areas open, and sometimes there's some up in here. Or like if I need a quick call on my way to work, I actually kind of show that because my vision is when I have maybe a team or somebody helping me or taking a look at my schedule and they want to put something on the schedule, they're like, oh, okay, she's blocked these times out that like I can schedule time. So that's my thought process on it. Um, but so you look at that and you go, okay, these are the things that I want to do. These are the blocks of time. And you should have, I think he said, Tammy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he said like 5 hours, 4 hours a day or something of income producing time was his recommendation. So figuring out what you're going to do and blocking that time out. Of course, I have a W-2, so my actual income producing time is quite a bit bigger in some areas. And then you also want to, so that's where I talk about sacrifice. So I'm like, okay, I've got my income producing things that I want to do. I need to check into these businesses every week, every day, every week, whatever. So I block those out. And then you go in and you go, okay, I want to do sub 2 Zooms or Gator Zooms or top tier TC Zooms, or there's another calendar. Maybe you're in another mentorship. So this is the thing that for me was like mind blowing, because I'm like, how do I ever know what these Zooms are? And how do I know if I want to attend it? How do I keep track? And this is what was awesome for me. So you can see these pink ones. I color coded it. You don't have to, but these pink ones are kind of more like negotiable. Like I might be doing something at that time, something else, and maybe I can listen in. Like I'm at my W-2, but I might pop in my earbud and listen to this creative title and escrow officer or OC club meeting or a co-living meeting. So I kind of overlap those where I'm like, okay, maybe I can just jump into this while I'm at work and working away. So what you do is you go, okay, what's happening with sub 2 this week? And you pop on and you're like, oh my gosh, look at all that. Well, I can't attend all that. That's overwhelming. But you can look and you can see, like for me, where's one? I had time in my schedule here. So I said, I want to start, or I actually prioritized this one. I was like, I want to start going to these underwriting Zooms and, just keep gathering nuggets about underwriting and learning more and more. So I'm going to block out, I decided here for a little while, I want to block out time and make it to these underwriting Zooms. So what you do is you go, okay, so you open up on the other calendar and you copy over to yours. And you can change it to busy or not. So like on those ones I put that I was free and I changed the color, right? I don't want to do yellow because that's the same color. It doesn't make it obvious. But so when I do that, now it pops on the schedule. You can see now it's a duplicate because I did that, but it pops on the schedule. And so I can go, well, I need to do,
Siri, text 503.
so then I said, okay, well, I don't want to be on this Zoom for longer than an hour, or maybe I need to get off of it half hour early because I got this other meeting coming up and I need time to decompress and go to another meeting. So I can change that on my calendar. And now if I take the sub 2 calendar off, that's where I've decided that I'm going to spend my time. Which to me was like kind of mind blowing to just be able to go, okay, this is how I can take and overlay these meetings. And then I go into each one, turn them on, turn them off. And so sometimes what will happen though, is you'll have this, okay, this is my other calendar and it says that I'm busy. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I'm busy doing. Somebody booked something here or whatever. You can even see, this is a good example right here. And I just don't have it shared in a way. It's private. And I've actually tried to make it not private, but it just won't do it. So I'm like, okay, I have to get it onto this calendar. So I go to that calendar and it's this meeting because and this is something I can fix, but on my Calendly, it actually populates onto this calendar and not on the calendar that I use as my master. So I can go on to here and then now I can change the owner. Let's see how that worked. I'm still learning some of these here. Let me check it again. Another way you can do it, if that's not working, is you can invite your other calendar, right? So edit and invite. Oh, I guess right there. So you can invite your other calendar. So whatever you need to do to get it to pop on your other calendar one way or another, there it is. So then I can accept it. And I'm like, well, those kind of calls, I also want them a different color because I just know they need to pop out for me. So I might change the color, right? I might change it to those ones to blue. So they pop out at me. So that's how you do that.
Okay. So
All right. Okay, so that's how you can prioritize. And then, like I said, now I've got all of these, and we'll go to next week so you can kind of see it's more of a blank slate. Little bit more of a blank slate, but I've got things pretty well, like just this is what I'm going to do for a while, pretty well lined out. But I can look at things and I can go, okay, my team members, there's a couple blank areas here. Do I fill those with something? Do I leave those blank? But these are the times when when they have my Calendly, they can schedule things, right? They can schedule things. I actually have my Calendly turned off, so they can't schedule in the evening, but I know I can schedule things in the evening if somebody needs something that's higher priority. And then but then I might go, okay, I'm working on this special project, so I'm gonna do a meeting here for myself and actually block out time, which I did for before this thing because I knew I had a Zoom coming up, so I wanted to block out time to work on it. Well, if everything is full and I need to block out time, I might go, okay, well, I'm with the VA, we're meeting 4 times this week. I don't really need to meet with her 5 times. So I'll block out and I won't do this day. So when you hit delete, you can just delete that actual event, but it's still repeating. So every week you can choose what you're going to turn on and off for your repeating. So you can have it all built out and then you can prioritize and sacrifice. So you can make decisions on what you're going to prioritize, what you're going to sacrifice. Oh, and I did it anyway. That's all right. Maybe I'll need that space. Let's see what else. So he says, so you're going to first start with your non-negotiables, then you're gonna and you're gonna put those on the calendar. You're gonna block out your money-making activities. And I haven't looked this up, but actually someone said Calendgoo is a good one to like help with some of the calendars and actually integrating them. I actually haven't looked that one up, and then determine where you're going to sacrifice. So and be, happy about it. Like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this for this, and that's going to be the thing this week that, gets me to the next thing that I need to do. And then
Whoa.
and then also you want to fill
Right.
in self-care. You want to make sure you have your self-care, your reflection time in there. So some of this is not really necessary, but I was trying to get my mind wrapped around everything and where I really had time and didn't have time. And try to fill in this block of time here to try to jump on the call with my team or somebody early in the morning if I needed to. Pace, I'm working on this. This is not happening right now. But Pace gets up extremely early. I'm kind of more of a night owl, so these blocks might come in the night instead. And they do kind of tend to, but you always kind of need that start of the day, check your calendar, do some reading, right now I do my journaling at night. Actually, I should really be a little more realistic with myself, to be honest, about this time block. Like it's not happening, but I am getting it in and mostly in the evening. And then working out. So make a date with yourself to get to the gym. Again, these end up sometimes for us being being negotiable with ourselves. So how are you going to get make a date with yourself and make sure you get it done. I'm working on this. This is not happening for me right now either because I'm staying up so late. And so I'm not following my calendar. I'll be honest with you guys. I put this in and then I end up going to bed. You know, I should just be turning everything off at 8 o'clock. And I'm going to bed at 10, 11 at night. So it's impossible to get up in the morning, but I'm putting it down. I don't know how many people in here are neurodivergent. I have ADHD. It actually takes me a minute to tell myself over and over again, I'm going to do something. And then eventually it just clicks and I do it. Right. So that might be you. That might not be you. So everybody has to learn about themselves. So he says that, so you got to make sure that you give time for reflection, journaling, um, and just taking care of yourself in general. And then learning time. So that's where I talked about, I kind of just told you guys everything in one instead of go through these steps. I'm probably not going to make them through it all because I want to have time for questions, but that's where these blocks are. These are my learning time. Is like, okay, what do I want to focus on right now to learn? And I'm going to go find those classes, I mean, even if it's like a recorded one, like this is I'm in Michael Matsukanian's buy and hold mastermind. And so if I don't make it to this, then I'm probably going to try to make sure that I reschedule the recording so that I make sure and listen to it. So those kinds of things, concentrate on what you want to learn and make sure you block that in. And then time block in. I don't have this on here. But I've been doing it on Sundays. Time block in. When are you going to actually review your calendar? Actually, Tammy doesn't know this, but I actually am like, hey, Tammy and I probably need to look at our calendars together at some point because we have a lot of coordinating that we have to do. So that I have that in there like as an idea right now. For us to talk about is like, because a lot of mornings on Sundays we have owners club with Pace, and it's like right after that we want to maybe schedule things, implement, do what we need to do. The other thing is after you do a mastermind kind of call or something, where you learn a lot of stuff, you want to make sure that you actually put time to implement that stuff. So make sure that you have time for implementation, which is really important. What else? I don't know. I think for now, I'm not going to go through each other one. I think one thing is what I want to point out and just start thinking about, I have not implemented this right now. It's my next kind of step. But when you are blocking out the time, so I'm like, okay, I blocked out let's say Tidy Temple, this is our cleaning company, and I blocked out time for it, but what am I doing? You gotta, you need to like each week, I haven't blocked this out. I haven't really thought this through. But what am I going to do? And Pace talks about 5 birds with 1 stone. I don't even know if I can find it in my notes right now, but, talk about what are you going to do during that time? And how are you going to maybe if you're working on your social media, what are you doing right there and in there that you can record? What can you turn it into some kind of lesson for somebody else? Or what can you do other than, what are you doing during that time, and actually make a date with yourself that this is what I'm going to do during that time. Again, I'm giving you guys this hint and I'm not doing it right now, but that's kind of next for me, is kind of really thinking through those times of blocks of time and what I need to do. And some of them are just operational. I'm literally got to go in and do payroll, or I literally, some of them are just operational, but what do you need to do? And then, let's see. So that's kind of the 5 birds with 1 stone is like, here's just like an example of one of his 5 birds is, he's like, okay, I'm gonna do a Zoom with Sub 2, and what am I gonna accomplish on that Zoom? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna launch a community book club. That's maybe his main effort, right? And then he's gonna create a poll to find out what authors, people want to learn about, so he can plan it And then he's gonna announce, you know, a he got 3 or 4 things he's going to announce so he can launch these new programs and get feedback so he knows his direction and can decide what his direction is. So he does those announcements on purpose, if y'all have been on there, so that he can get direction for kind of his next money making activities. It helps getting the feedback from everybody. And then some of it's just chit chatting, right? Just getting to know people. But that's his purpose. He's doing it purposely and doing everything with a purpose. So yeah, Tammy, do you feel like there's anything that's like, I'm not going to go through each one. I'm probably going to do another Zoom and try to go through each one, or pick up where I was. But do you guys, can you think of anything that I might have missed there?
Not really off the top of my head.
Okay.
I like the mic drop.
I'm gonna stop sharing my,
A couple of us have the same question, which
yeah.
is, I also have a little bit of ADHD,
Uh-huh.
or maybe it's something different, but um, when I'm in the mood to do something, I do such a good job and I can focus for 5 straight hours and I can turn out something amazing. But when I'm
Yeah.
really not in the mood to do it, trying to force me to do it just wastes time and makes the product turn out bad. So when I time block, sometimes it seems I'm like, is it even worth doing this? Because if I try to force myself exactly what it says to do at the time, I know that I have to do that for Zoom calls and things.
Well, what if you like, yeah, some of them you just have to do and you're forced into it.
Right.
But what if when you're looking at that and you decide you don't want to do it, you just swap it with the thing you want to do?
I think that is a good idea. Usually what I've been doing is at the beginning of the day, write a list of intentions. I don't even call them goals. I just call them intentions. And then I'm like, when I am sitting down to do something, I'm like, wow, I get to choose from any of these things. And then I feel like I have freedom. And then I feel like I can honor my um, mood to do what feels like the right thing to do out of that list. But if
Right. And so, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I feel pressured, like I have to do this particular task right now, I won't do it. I hate myself for that. But if I try to
I
force
have
myself, it's
I have the same problem. I have the same problem, and I will find myself like, I've committed, some of it I've committed. So some of it is like setting up that meeting with the virtual assistant. So I have to be there. And yeah, it sucks to force yourself, but usually once you get in there, especially because it's more of you know, ADHD people, we have that where if we're working alongside somebody, we can actually get a task done. And so if you're meeting somebody, so like I don't want to waste my VA's time. That's a waste of my money. And so that's a motivator for me. So a lot of the things when with people with ADHD is they need a motivator. So a motivator for me to actually do that thing during that time is if I'm paying somebody to be spending that time with me. That's a motivator, but also making your time blocks flexible enough that you're just like, no, I'm just going to do, I got these 5 things I got to do. It's okay to be like, if they're all money making activities per se, or if they're all whatever, just be like, this is what I feel like doing. And I've had to do that, or I've had to push something off because I'm just like, I just don't feel like doing it right now. And I will in the evening. That's part of my problem. I like the evenings. So I actually do a lot more, and I actually waste time during the middle of the day sometimes. So, I mean, that's an idea. Does anybody else have any other ideas?
I'm just gonna say, I think you mentioned this earlier, but I'm not 100% sure, but I know Pace said he only does 1 hour for each money-making activity. So
Right.
that can hopefully, kind of like you don't get stuck in one spot. You can kind of keep switching gears, which is probably not at all what you're saying, Gina, but sometimes I think that can help to kind of keep you motivated if you're switching projects a little bit.
It does. One of the interesting things is that the hardest, and probably everybody feels this way, I don't know, maybe it's just me. The hardest time is the first 2 to 3 to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll just like grit my teeth and I'll tell myself, if I do 10 minutes, then I will allow myself to go do something else. But usually once I get going, after 5 minutes, then my brain kicks in and I'm in a flow state and I do it for like 3 hours. So just getting started is the hard part, but then I take off on some
Yeah.
of those tasks. If there's another person there, I don't have that problem at all. But there's a whole
Right.
lot of things I have to do where there's not another person there.
Right. Yeah. I think you kind of have it figured out, but it's just like, how do you motivate yourself those first few minutes? And I have that happen. That calendar that I showed you guys, that's like, I literally started doing this 2 weeks ago. I'm not an expert, but there was just some aha moments that were crazy. I was like, oh crap. I never even thought about how to like get everything to align and make those things. So, but yeah, I struggle with the same things. Because sometimes I just don't want to do anything and I just won't. And I won't do it well either if I force myself. So it's like, how do I get myself into that time frame where I will actually do it? Um,
Chris also mentioned having an accountability partner.
mhm.
It, helps definitely. I know sometimes Jen and I just get on a Zoom together, and sometimes we both can maybe get something more done, and sometimes it's the opposite. But
Yeah. Sometimes we just talk about things over and over again that we're like, okay, we got to stop talking about this. This isn't getting us anywhere. But other times we're like, okay, what do we got to do? Okay, you tackle that, I'll tackle that. And we'll both be on the Zoom at the same time doing different things that are like supporting each other. And then we can knock it out a lot faster. So sometimes we're like, we need that. And so we do harness that when we need it. And then both of us need it sometimes. So that's a good way. What else? What else is people struggling with? Makes it difficult with a toddler. Yeah, I haven't had to deal with a toddler. Why does Umish keep saying it's quiet in here? Umish.
That's
I
a
think
note taker.
yeah, it's a note. It says note
Oh,
taker.
It
I
must
was
be
like, I
broken.
got it. I see it now. I was like, wait, I got it. I feel stupid now. That's all right. That happens a lot for me.
Well, let's all
Um,
say the note taker
we
is doing a bad job. And now
yeah,
the note taker in the notes is
we'll
going to have
say
to write that the note taker is doing a bad job.
the note taker has no
Well,
idea what's going on in here. Uh, yeah. It's Stacy going to bed early. I know it's killing me right now. And I was doing so good. I have to get to bed on time. I have to. I'm done.
Oh, one thing that I struggle with is that I really love going to group fitness workouts and I do them regularly and it's my favorite. But taking the time to drive there and do it and then come home and then shower, I'm like, that whole thing takes
Yeah,
like 2 hours. Whereas if I
I
were to
know.
just do a 20-minute workout at home, it would be so much faster. But I enjoy it so much and it works so well. I'm like, I can't really decide. Like, it's kind of what gives me joy. So I feel like I should keep it in, but it's also usually during important Zoom times, like right in the middle of the morning.
I hear you. Actually, I'd have the same trouble. That class that I showed it, that my friends work out at that time. And so I want to go, but that's part of it is like I could just stay here. I could do a quick workout and then get on with the day. And I'll be honest, I sometimes I sacrifice that shower so I can get back to work faster, you know. I'm just like, okay, slick back hair today and let's go, you know. So, um it's it's difficult for sure, but I do agree. I prefer the workouts with friends and with the group. I've had the same problem.
Can I unmute myself and ask a
Yeah.
question?
Hi, Rebecca. Yeah.
Hi. So do any of you guys have on your phones like two different calendars? There's the Google Calendar and then there's the other, I don't know what it is.
Are
It's
do you have an iPhone?
I have both, so I'm
Okay.
bilingual.
So, okay, so I can't share, it's like I can't share my screen. I suppose I could log in under my other Zoom or
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to. So one is like the calendar. I don't know what you call this, but anyway, so when I go in there and I copy stuff from the calendar, from Pace's calendar, and I try to get it onto the Google Calendar, like your time blocking and scheduling
Mhm,
was on this calendar. So I
mhm.
have to toggle between the two, but this calendar, I think I have to do my anti-blur or whatever, go to non-blur or something.
Yeah,
And
I
then
think we can see
try.
it now.
So here, oh gosh, can y'all see? Let me see. Okay, there. Wait, let me see if I can make it bigger. I'd have to get rid of. So on this calendar, I don't know what this is. Like, it's so crazy. So when I go into Pace's calendar on here,
Mhm,
it doesn't matter to which one. I just log into the calendar on the vault.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, what happens, and let me see if I can log in so I can show you what it looks like, is I can only see a very, very small part of the day, and the day that I'm on is not the thing that shows up first. It's crazy. So therefore, I can't push on the date to see everything happening for that day. It's nuts. Okay,
So,
so
yeah, let me
I'll
see.
show you.
Let's see.
So live calendars, I pull up. Okay, so this is what I can see. Can y'all see that? Or is it too bright or too dark, or what's the problem?
I can see it. Yeah, we can see it.
Okay,
And it's
so
got
do you see today's date on there?
December 4th is not on there.
No, it's not.
It's to the
No,
right,
I can't move over.
right.
Will not let
So
me.
what you do, go to the bottom, scroll to the bottom with, well, I can see it there, and go add, so see the blue? Now look at it.
Yeah,
Add the
yeah,
Google
where it's,
Calendar.
yeah, of course, all that stuff is already on my calendar because I've already done that a million times.
Right, right. So then
Okay, but
that's
then I
where,
can come up, you're saying it should look like this.
right.
Can you
And
see
now you
that?
can toggle it on and off on your own calendar and do what I was.
Toggle what on and off? Tell me that again.
Let me show you on my screen real quick. I'll show you on my screen. So you see how where I've got these calendars on the left here now?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just now I can toggle it and I can click on sub 2 calendar and I can turn it on and then I can pick what things I want to go to. So if I wanted to
Oh,
go to this bookkeeping class, now I click on that and I say copy to my calendar, Jennifer Brightbaugh, and then it will show up on my main calendar for me.
so I had task turned off. I see.
I'm not sure I actually don't know what tasks do.
Well, like those are things like on a daily basis. I may know that I've got to go pick up Lois and take her to an appointment, or I've got
Uh-huh.
to do something. That's a task that has to be done that day. Got to print out my, occupancy letters that have to go to certain homes that I've got
Uh-huh.
to deliver to those homes and put on their door or whatever.
Right.
It's a task, has to be done. I get those printed up professionally at the print shop because Stephanie does a real nice job for me and it's all in color and everything. So there's just certain things that are tasks. And so when I type in a task, what time, what day has to be done, deadline, get it done in
Right.
the morning, whatever, then it shows up on my calendar as a must do.
Uh-huh.
Is that what you do?
I don't have, I schedule them instead of putting them as tasks. I guess
Okay.
to me, a task can get done at any time and you can schedule a task, but it can get done at any time where where like an appointment is like, this is the time, this is actually laid out for this time when we're going to do it. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So you can do it like I'm trying to see what I can do about tasks. Like I'm not even sure So if I hit create a task, let me share my
But
screen.
like on this, does this calendar show up for you guys?
It's very, very,
Very grainy,
yeah.
very hard to see. Maybe it's not close enough. I don't know, maybe
You
it's
got
too
it.
close.
Yeah, go to the right.
Let me
But-
see if I can turn down the brightness on it because I
Oh, yeah,
think
that
what's
might help.
happening
That's what I was
is
gonna say. It's really.
too bright. Okay.
Yeah. So are all of the things that don't have color just tasks?
Okay, this is all the same stuff that was in the other calendar. But this
Uh-huh.
is not a color coded calendar. This is the one, I don't know what this is, which calendar, let me see. This is not the Google Calendar. It's kind of like it's saying that it's the same thing, but it's
Yeah.
not color coded.
Yeah. So that's why I like doing it on my computer. I will say I like to do it on my computer and then look at it on my phone all day long. So I
Oh, you
access.
guys, I'm so sorry.
Did you figure it out?
My Aunt Nell is calling from the Denver airport because she lost her phone in Seattle this morning. Hey, Aunt Nell.
Hey, my name's Robert. I am at Denver International Airport.
Great. Okay. Hey, you guys, I gotta help her
All
find
right.
her phone. I'm so sorry.
Good luck.
But I
Good
want to
luck.
get back to you guys. So
Yeah.
sorry. Sorry, sir. I'm on a Zoom right now. Are you looking for Nell Dwyer?
There we go. Awesome. Anybody else? Where do we got? Chris, you got nuggets. I saw you dropping them in the chat.
What's
there.
up?
What's
What's going
up?
on?
How are you?
How you guys doing? Pretty good. So what I used to do
Good.
too, and I still do this one on my business and stuff like that, is I actually I'm a handwritten guy too, but I got a calendar and I've got all the things, different check boxes and color coded, but I like things written out in front of me. And so what I did, and I did this consistently, and you do this for 21 days, it starts a habit. And then you form it, it just becomes a pattern, right? So write down 7 things. I don't care, big, small, take out the trash, whatever it may be, 7 things. If you don't complete that on that day, it gets transferred to the next day, and then the list continues. And then each day you're going to cross things off. So what are you doing? You're making accomplishments through that day. And yes, when you're time blocking for like events and Zooms and things like that, that's one thing you're going to check off, right? Or like you're coming to this, or you're going to Racing Capital, or your time blocking calendars. So that's just one thing. Create 7 things, small, big, doesn't have to be all big stuff. It could be just small, minor things. And then when you get done with the day, you're like, man, I did actually accomplish things. Well, then you can make it 10 things, now 3 extra small things or 1 extra big thing with that, and do multiple things. One of the things that Pace, I did a day with Pace here last week when I was in Arizona. And he basically said, create a podcast every day, create something, put something out on social media, post something, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. But if you do that for 6 months, what that's going to do is now you have 6 months of content. And we did actually some filming at Pace's place. It was actually pretty cool. So hopefully that comes out here pretty soon.
Fun. Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. It's really tough to some of those things you don't want to do. And it's tough to do. Even though you know that you need to do them. Social media is a really tough one for me. So yeah, you got to write it down. You got to put it on your task list or put it on your calendar and like Gina said earlier, maybe a task list is better for somebody. Hey, I'm going to time block this time and I'm going to do whatever on my task list I feel like. I mean, everybody has to make it their own and make it work for them. This is like I'm limping along. I'm doing pretty good. I'm actually surprised how good I'm doing, but I can do way better. Right. And so my calendar has a lot of work, but I'm able to like see all the different calendars in one place, get them onto one calendar and go, okay, this is what my week is going to somewhat look like, right? And then I have to move things around as there's priorities that shift. But that at least you can start with a plan and go from there. Anything else? Anything anyone wants to bring up? All right. I was going to check how many people filled out that form. If I can find it.
Can drop it one more time.
I wanted to tell everybody, I'm so
anyway.
sorry about that. So
No problem.
sorry.
Funny.
Here's the
We
form.
got-
I was gonna fill it out, but I can't, I didn't, I
We got
switched.
9 people
Mhm.
that filled out the form that wants to learn what they got and what they
I
what
kept
they need and
trying
how
to
they
fill it
do-
out and it would tell me that there are certain things in red that still have to be filled out. And I'm like, I filled out everything. So I don't know what the world is talking about.
Think you have to change your reCAPTCHA number. It timed out for me too, and that was the only thing missing.
I did the reCAPTCHA number 4 times.
I'll turn the reCAPTCHA off. Let's try that.
Yeah, I did have to put the reCAPTCHA number several times. You're right.
Did you get it?
No, I don't know if it went through or not. Do they have one with my name?
Oh, let me look. We got
I'm-
Rebecca.
You got me?
Oh, no. Let me just turn the CAPTCHA off and then everybody won't have problems.
Okay. So I was trying to do it while I was listening to you, so I couldn't answer the extra questions about what else would I'd like to learn. Because I didn't have time for that, because I wanted to hear what you were saying.
You can reset it. You guys can resend it if you want. I can get rid of duplicates.
Okay.
The only thing I think maybe is worth mentioning that was like a big thing for me is that when you're not time blocking and when I've not been time blocking and I'm super new and totally trying to like adjust to the whole concept. If I'm not blocking out time on things that I want to be working on, if it's per hour or whatever, I feel like I'm just allowing everybody else to control my time because people are constantly reaching out with requests for different things. Like, here's a project, can you look at it? I need funding. Has this been done? Have you read this email? Did you respond to them? And I'm constantly just literally like taking orders from people all day long if I'm not blocking it out and I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna set my phone down. I'm not gonna look at my messages or my emails for an hour and I'm gonna get something accomplished that I need to get accomplished to help me make more money or me succeed with some of the things that I have for goals. So I just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good reason. Like, even if you have ADHD, like Gina was talking about, and you want to do a task list and you don't really know what you want to do during that time, you can put your task list in there and be like, okay, I think I'm going to do these 5 things. But what order or whatever. And then at least you've blocked out the time and you're like, nobody gets this time from me. This is for me, and for my business or what I'm working on. So, and then, and so it's it could be helpful that way too, even if it's not, you haven't defined it ahead of time. And I think that's why I've had a hard time defining exactly what I'm going to do in some of those time blocks ahead of time as well. So.
Oh, I had a question. So he does like all of his planning for the week on Sunday, right?
Yeah.
How many times does he adjust his calendar a week?
So
He
this man is
tries-
like
Because
crazy
you know how like
dedicated.
no,
No,
I've never
hate
seen
to be
anybody so
obscene.
dedicated.
yeah, I hate to be
To his
obscene, but
calendar.
when he's like, if someone wants my time, that's what he says. He's
Nice.
like, no, it better be,
Right.
the sky better be falling. I've made my calendar my way. We'll talk about it next week or next month or next year, depending on what the task is. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Does not really veer from it much unless it's like a family thing, it sounds like, for the most part.
Or
If he
he decides
decides.
he wants to do it. He might
Yeah.
decide, like, I want to
Exactly.
do this instead and decide to make that, but he only does it. He's like, he has white space. He's like, I love white space. And then my team always fills it. He's like, I need to go to the bathroom sometimes, or whatever.
I need a buffer. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to eat.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he tries to be very disciplined. And I mean, like today, Colleen, and Tammy, when we were, I think it was we got to do better about like our time blocking as a team, because like, and looking ahead and like building out the next week of what we want to do, because like it took me 20 minutes to figure out, can I have a meeting at 1:30 today? Like moving stuff around, and it was a
Mhm.
super important meeting. We needed to have it, but like it, I wasted, a lot of time, and that's time that I wasn't really doing anything else, I guess, but that's time, that was morning time that I should have been like getting ready for work or spending time with my family or, whatever. So not trying to put any guilt or anything on anybody, but that was just a lesson learned. It's like, we really need to like figure out when we're going to have these meetings and actually just get them on the calendar, so we're not struggling with that the day before going, when are we going to do that? Thanks, Kimberly. Rebecca? Yeah, it's your hand raised. Was that accident?
No, I was trying to put the hand down so I could talk to you. So if like today something came up where I was on that, I don't know if any of you guys were on that live with Ingrid on Instagram, where I guess it's called Be Financially Informed, that she was doing. And so I booked something with them to talk to them tomorrow morning. But when you go in there to add something to your calendar, I overrode it right on top of Basic Gator underwriting. And now I'm bummed because I put
Yeah.
that at the same time. Is there anything when you're booking something that that it'll bump you and say you can't book that time, it's already booked or something?
I would say the way to do that is if you use well, probably not. Just train. Unless someone has, maybe that Calendgoo does it.
Gmail
Gmail.
calendar will tell you have a conflict with your blocking.
I'll still do it for my phone. I'll still do it. Because you're not, especially if you're signing up for something through like a form, or like someone else's Calendly, it's not gonna block you. I think you
Yeah.
just have to get disciplined to look at your calendar first. I've done that a lot. I've started just getting disciplined that like I'm not gonna do anything, book a doctor's appointment, something with my friend, nothing unless I look at my calendar first, because inevitably there'll be, and it might be a sacrifice I'm choosing to make, but I want to choose to make it at that time instead of go back and be bummed that I didn't at least give myself that opportunity to make that choice. So that's
Yeah.
the only way. I hate to say.
Even when I was making it, I'm like, man, I know I'm negotiating that deal tomorrow morning. What time was that? And it's in this other stupid calendar. I don't know if I just have to delete one calendar. So then everything's just going to one.
That's what I
So
do. That's why I have the one, and that's why I said it's like a separate, even if you had to make another account, like it's a separate account that other things aren't populated on, and then you bring up your that separate account, and then you bring up your other calendars and you schedule them onto that other calendar. Like I
how do
was,
you do that?
so let me show you again. Because this has been I jumped right into it because I just wanted everybody to be able to see it. It's been like kind of the most eye-opening thing for me.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
so what I do, and I was kind of trying to start from scratch. Let me find my screen here. So this calendar with all my pink on it, this is my master calendar, right? This is a calendar that I populate with all the other calendars. So I start with, okay, I work a W-2. So every morning I'm at my W-2. So I started building this, and I was going to try to show you guys, but it's not working. I started building this. Oh, let me see. Okay, perfect. So I was trying to build another calendar to show you guys, and Pace had done it, but it's
What did he done? What did he
he
do?
had showed us he had put a new calendar on. Let me see. Other calendars. Oh, right here. I'll show you. Create a new calendar. So this is my test calendar. right? So I decided I'm gonna have an email account, and it's kind of my blanks, like my personal email account. So I created this calendar. So I have the calendar on there, and here's my test calendar now. If I turn this one off, it's blank, right? So I go, okay, what are my, we'll run through the steps again, at least the high level ones. What are my non-negotiables? My non-negotiables are things that like I'm doing with my family, my workouts, my church time, those things are my non-negotiables. So I'll go in and I'll be like, okay, from 5 to 6:30, because I got to drive, I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to do that every single day, every weekday. I'm going to go to the gym, right? So I save that. Let me edit gym. Non-negotiable. And I'm trying to do it fast, and anyway, gym, right? And then I'm like, okay, every Sunday, I'm going to church. So that's a non-negotiable, and that's church, right? And have them repeat, especially if they are ones that repeat, have them repeat. Now, and let me just populate a couple others. Where's the repeat on this screen? It doesn't show up. And every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm gonna have lunch with my hubby, right?
Have to do all this and master it? And he said, yes. If you want to be successful, you have to master.
And so I'm gonna do that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, right? So we can customize it. We can say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're gonna do this every single week. So I put my non-negotiables on, and then I go look at my calendar. So, and I've done that by looking at my family's calendar also. So here's my family. Okay, I've got this Christmas party. Well, how can some of them you auto-populate, or some of them you manually populate like this. And then others, you go look at your family's calendar. Unfortunately, my family's calendar is on the iCloud, but I'll go, okay, I got to get this Christmas party on my calendar. So there's different ways to do it, but on this one, I would just invite my other calendar. If I can spell my name right.
That was kind of an aha moment, what you just said about the iCloud.
Right.
Because I have two phones. I have an iPhone and I have an Android. So I'm wondering if that's the conflict with the scheduling that I'm seeing.
Pace would probably say yes. Get rid of the Android.
I don't think Android has iCloud. I think that's just an iPhone feature.
Yeah,
I know
but did you notice
my
what she just said?
yeah, she can invite it to the other calendar if you
So then I
do
invite
it
it
manually. Yeah.
So then I invite it to the other calendar, and it probably will eventually pop up here, or I have to accept it probably. But it'll, you get them populated on to the other calendar. Let me see if I have to accept it. Because I want you to see. It did it for us on the other.
So they have to send me, I would have to send myself an invite from my iPhone so that my Samsung will see it.
Yeah. To your
And then-
email address that your Samsung's picking up, right? So you're taking all your inputs, all your different input calendars, and trying to get them populated onto one. And for whatever reason, this is the problem I have. I can do it from my phone really easy. I can populate it from my phone. I actually do my family calendar from my phone right now. I just wanted to show you guys this. But I actually do it from my phone so that it populates because it's easier that way, but everything else I do on the computer because it's much easier to do this time blocking on the computer. And I agree with you, Chris. I like to write it down, but then I have to carry that damn calendar around with me every day. So I have gone to the computer exclusively. I had a whole planner I was working with. But it's always a work in progress. So now I'm like, okay, this is what I got going on. Oh, and then I'm going to work every day because I have a W-2. So that's repeats every weekday. So that's kind of like, okay, this is my basis. This is my family time, my non-negotiables. I get them on there one way or another, share it over, whatever. And I'm like, okay, now I have my white space. Well, of course I got to that's why on my calendar I have the get ready for work and stuff, because for me, I want to really think through, like, do I have time in the morning to have any calls at all or not? And I feel like I do have like 30 minutes. If I got to jump on with somebody, I can slide them in there. And then I say, okay, here's I want to go, I need to do my income producing, like these are the time blocks for myself, for my business, for whatever I'm going to do to make money. Other than the W-2, you should have like 5 different things that you're doing, and you only do 1 hour each for each thing. But what am I going to do for these things? So you go in and you pick the hours in the day that you want to do those things, and you block them out. So I'm like, okay, I want to work on my lending business here, right? And I'm just to start, I'm going to do that every day of the week, because I'm just trying to make this simple for myself right now until I work on it. And then I'm going to I just want to get a couple things on here. I've got a buy and hold business, or I'm going to start a COO, a fractional COO business, right? So, chief operating office business. So this is my startup time. This is my time I'm going to put in to work on that. And I'm going to do this. Oops, I forgot. I'm going to do that every day too. Every weekday, right? So I get those things in there, and then get in like your team meetings and get those things in there. And you're like, okay, now I need to figure out, what are the other things I need to do? I need to do some learning, or I need to do some of these other Zoom calls. They're all learning for the most part, right? So it's a good category. So you're like, what's going on in sub 2? Now I put this calendar over it, and I go, oh, okay. Well, they've got this underwriting going on here. I want to go to the underwriting. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say copy to test. And you can decide, do you want it to be the default orange that you have, or maybe you want it to be a different color because you're like, these are my learning activities, and that helps you. One or the other, it doesn't really matter. And you can make it busy or not. Maybe you're like, well, if someone puts something on my calendar during this time, that's okay. So you can make it not busy, but you save it. And now it's on your calendar. When you take the sub 2 calendar off, now it's on your calendar. And then you can go, well, that's 2 hours, but I'm only going to go for part of that time because I've got this activity scheduled. So you can start populating from all the other calendars, including your other calendar. Like, I have this bit, I don't even know what this is. I have to go to my other calendar because of the way that the sharing is, and go, well, what's going on that day at that time, and get it populated on there. That's this week. $2:00. I don't know what it is. What's showing up? It's not really showing up here. Oh, that's because I don't have that calendar linked right there. Jana, I've got a meeting with Jana. And so I'm like, okay, I need that to show up on my other calendar. How do I get that to happen? I can try changing the owner. And sometimes it's funny. It works or it doesn't work for me. So each calendar is kind of weird, but I could just invite myself, right? And from my phone, sometimes I can change the owner easier also. So, so I've just put that meeting with Jana on here, if it will show up. Of course, it doesn't want to work when I'm showing you guys this. Let me look in the email. Maybe I have to accept it. Oh, it's because I didn't share it to the right calendar, right? See where I shared it? All of these, I shared it to this default calendar. So that's that Jana calendar. I have to move it to the task, copy it to test. And that wouldn't be normal. It would go on your default calendar, but there now I put Jana. Now when I unclick this, now it's on my default calendar, and I'm only paying attention once I populate from all the other calendars. I'm only paying attention to this main calendar that I've chosen. Does that make sense?
So you have multiple calendars that you can access a look at. In other words, your family and all the stuff doesn't come up on one calendar.
Correct. I choose what is on my calendar. So I don't have all of these things showing up on my calendar to where I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I choose what goes on my calendar. So anything that I see on other calendars that I want to attend, I choose that and I copy it to my calendar. So on this one, maybe I want to attend this bonus Gator orientation. I'm not going to a Gator orientation, but I can go here and I can just say copy to test, right? And it shows up on my test calendar. Let me take all those things off. Now that bonus Gator showed up there.
Okay.
So I don't have to, each week I can just go and be like, turn the calendars on and off and be like, this is what I want to do.
Because whenever you go down and like we were going into that view live calendars on the Paste More Vault, you were showing me down at the very bottom, you could click save to calendar.
Yeah. And then that's where it's here. Now it's shared in this account, this Jennifer.L account, but I toggled it off. I'm not looking at it. And I even do it in my phone. These are all toggled off. I don't see them anywhere. Even I do have the Google Calendar, but I always just use my iPhone calendar. And I just see this main calendar in my phone.
Okay.
That's not 100% true because I do see it. See some other stuff, and I think that's important for me right now for some of the other stuff to show up, like my family's calendar does stay on. But see how I populated these, and I'm like, oh, that's not right. That Christmas party's gonna go much longer than that, so I can change it. I can't, I guess, change it here because
I guess that's the part that I wasn't using correctly. So that's good to know.
yeah, that was kind of the aha moment for me. That was like, this is how you get everything like on your calendar you want to do and not see all the other minutia, because and you can focus like, these are the things I want to focus on.
So like some of this stuff from the Gator calendar is in here twice. Like I've gone down there and clicked that button more than once apparently. And then it just overwrit, it put it in there twice. So like Friday, raising private capital. Is that something new Pace is doing?
Yeah. Is that on the Gator or is that on the?
No, it's not on the it's a new thing he made up in Facebook. Like, okay, I'm doing this. Starts tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't even have it on my calendar. It doesn't look like.
That's because he just made it up today and announced it.
Yeah.
That he's doing it. So then you're like, okay, well then what about all this other stuff I have on my calendar? Like, do I go to that? Or I guess I'll go to some of that or as much as I can.
Right.
And then,
that's
like,
that's the part about having to sacrifice. Where are you going to sacrifice if you want to do something more than something else, right? You get to make those decisions. At least now you have the space to be able to make those decisions instead of going, what am I gonna sacrifice?
Sacrifice.
You
Yeah.
don't, you know, at least you get to make the decision instead of having to figure it out.
Right. Thank you for this. This has been great.
Yeah, it's kind of, I jumped right into it because like I wanted to get to questions, but it's kind of an aha, like if somebody would have showed me just this part about toggling the calendars and getting everything populated 3 years ago or whatever, it would have been game changing. Now I'm starting to learn right now how to do it. So, and each calendar is different, like how you get it on to that calendar, but
Well, I've been wanting to play with it, but I just didn't know exactly what to do. Cause I'm like, what am I doing in here? But this, I'm already starting to play with it and fix things in there while you're doing yours. So thank you.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else?
Hey, Ollie.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. Let's see your calendar.
Oh, yeah, I want to see your calendar, Ollie. That's actually Pace when someone wants to do a one-on-one with him and they're like, I'm not making any money and I'm not doing well or whatever. He's like, from now on, I'm gonna ask to see your calendar. So everybody needs to have a calendar and he's real big on that.
Yeah, mine's somewhere here. Let me see. Let's see.
I'm just kidding.
He'll do it.
I'm trying to find it. Yeah.
That's all right.
No, because I have like 3 different emails and it's just all connected, but I do have it set up. Hold on. There it is.
I am positive you do. You get a ton done every day. Do you have a contractor calendar and then also a networking calendar and then also a, all the Zooms you're going to be in or whatever?
Pretty much. I mean, 90% of mine is just full of all kinds of stuff. I do need to start setting it up and differentiating it.
I know you get really pumped when all the kids get to school by 6:30. Like, okay, they're gone.
Yeah, I'll have it ready for you on the next Zoom.
Okay. So yeah, so let me know what you guys we'll see what other people things like this that people want to talk about. And we'll try to do something at least once a month, maybe more often, but I can't commit right now because I'm trying to get my calendar right. But yeah, reach out if you think of anything or if you have trouble, or reach out to each other because I'll share this spreadsheet. But I appreciate everybody. Have a good night.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.